It was an early morning at the South Jar outside of Megacat City. Both Jake and Chance were just watching some of the news before starting some work. They saw that Angora was interviewing Deputy Mayor Callie Briggs. Callie had actually did mention about some upcoming event for City Hall, in that, but despite were something that even Chance had no idea about, that Jake had a crush on Callie. Even though Jake wanted to tell Callie about his true feelings for her, but he couldn't, despite that he wanted to do so. Even when he was telling her about, or perhaps maybe ask her out or something, but not even reveal his true identity as raiser of SWAT cats. He asked Chance later when they were working if he was had found a girl to be with, how would he ask her out despite of things that may be too busy. Chance said that say that if he would have found a girl to be with, he would actually, perhaps, may have asked her out. But of course, it depending on how much time he were able to spend with her, due to the fact that they are the SWAT cats and that they work at the salvage yard. Even though Jake had thought maybe his friend had a point, but he couldn't stop thinking about Callie. He wanted to be with her, or at least maybe ask her out, despite knowing maybe that she wouldn't perhaps even go out with him, or just rejected him, or maybe just think that they are just true friends. So, what would he do? Even after their work shift as a salvage yard, when they returned back after saving Mega Cat City from another enemy threat, he often watched the news or perhaps just watching some movies for alone. But despite that, he wanted to be with someone like Callie. So one day, when Chance and Kel and Jake were in town, he decided to ask Callie out. But he knew that even Chance had also some sort of crush on Callie, which would make it a bit awkward to see his friend dating the same girl they both like. But when he then found out that Chance had no longer a crush on Callie, in fact, he was in love with someone else, which he didn't reveal until later on to be Felina Farrell, the niece of Commander Farrell, which shocked Jake a bit more than anything else. But seems now that Chance no longer had a crush on Kelly, it opened an opportunity for him to be with Kelly himself. But knowing that maybe that she didn't like him the same way though. But he would never know if he hasn't even asked her. So one day when Jake was alone along with Chance in town, they were just passing by the city hall when they stopped, and Jake went outside to pick up some of the when he encountered Kelly by random accident. So he decided why not to take the chance to ask her, or at least talk to her for a moment. And he did. When he asked her if she had any plans for Friday, and which she said no, and then he asked if she wanted maybe go out with him. Despite that, she knew about Jake and Chance, so he actually was like expecting a no. But in fact, she said yes. To big surprise to the event for Jake though. So Jake asked her where she would like to go to on a date. She may suggest maybe a restaurant that was nearby her home. And since he knew where she lived, so they decided to meet up at her home on Friday around 4 p.m. So both agreed to do so. And after that, Jake and Chance had left in their truck. Chance was just smiling and said, So you finally took the chance to ask her out. I'm proud of you, buddy. Thanks, Chance. But even though despite that he actually had been asking her out, he was still a bit nervous because this was going to be his very first date in a long time, since high school at least. And he had no idea if this first date would be the final, be the first step in their perhaps a potential future with Kelly, or the only date he will ever had with Kelly. But then it came to him. What if that his date had to be cancelled due to maybe some they need or some event took place just before it happened? Like he had to cancel the date and to have to act as racer at the SWAT cats. That came to his mind. So, but he strongly hoped at least that would have happened. As Friday arrived, things at Mega Cat City's turn looked to be as normal. No serious threat or situations had happened. But as it was about 3 p.m., nothing happened. But then, just as he was getting ready to prepare to his date with Kelly, when the alarm came out. Around 3:30 p.m., this big alarm from Kelly telling that this some mobsters had actually tried to had robbed the bank, and she has asked them for help. When Kelly was not aware, though, she was herself was getting ready for her date with Jake. But since Jake now had been busy with to be saving the town, he had only two options: letting Chance to take care of this problem by himself, and that he can go on the date. But since they need two people, two operations until they still play, so he had to cancel the date with Kelly. So he called her up, saying that he had to cancel the date for the since something had came up. And since she was getting ready to go though on her date, but she said it was okay. But he asked her if maybe she wanted to go out on a date the next day, on Saturday, which she said that was actually perfect. So they decided to go to the restaurant the next day. But despite on their mission, Jake felt guilty that he had to cancel their very first date ever. But Jens told him that things like this can happen at any point that when they at least expect it. Which he was right though, because you never know exactly things would happen. But they managed to stop their robbers, and even after when returned to the headquarters, Jake felt still guilty that he had to cancel his date. But at least he was going out with Callie by the next day. But this time he hoped nothing would happen, at least for his first official date in a while. As the next day arrived, it was just a normal day, since they didn't have any work on Saturdays, usually though. But this time, Chance said that he can take care of the problem things are at the solve chart himself, and Jake could go on his date with Kelly. As the 3 p.m. was approaching, he was getting ready to see his date with Kelly for the very first time. But even as he's watching the clock and expecting the alarm to going off at any moment, but it didn't. And even when it was about 3:50 p.m., he left the cell jar to pick up Kelly. And they went to a restaurant. And when he saw her in this red dress, it was a beautiful moment for him. He even mentioned that she looked so beautiful. She smiled at things, and they actually had a great time at the restaurant. They usually talk about some about things that had happened in the city, like with SWAT cats. Despite knowing he is one of the SWAT cats, but he had never told her that. Because Chance had told him that he shouldn't tell Kelly that he is one of the SWAT guys. At least one day, at least, or perhaps never do it. Because even though that if Kelly and Jake would have ended up in a serious relationship, there wouldn't have been any secrets between them. So Jake probably knew himself that if there would happen to be a long-term relationship, he couldn't keep his secret as a SWAT cat. Like he had to disappear and disappeared at any random points and through the time that they were dating. Without that, had to make some random excuse every time, which maybe Callie would figure out maybe there was some lies that he had been telling her, and that he had doing something, and that he didn't want her to be knowing. So, if she doesn't been told the truth, though, she might have ended up leaving him, or at least kicking or breaking up with him. So, in his mind, he might have to be telling her the truth, but only if they are going to be in a serious relationship, because unless they're any serious, though. But after they left the restaurant in the first date, he asked her how she handled this the first date and if she liked it or not. And she smiled said that she had actually a great time in the while, despite it being have been single for at least a while. And she then asked how he had on the date. Then he said, despite being on the first date, he had been on since high school for at least a couple of months. This this type of first date has been. He was nervous, but actually enjoyed it. Then he asked her after he dropped her out of her place if she maybe want to go out with him again, which she said yes. And so for the next couple of weeks, they went on several dates, like picnics or just going to the movies or a restaurant. Having this seemed to be working between them. They were just getting serious also. They're talking about having a serious relationship. But at a point when he realized, now that they are in a serious relationship, there can't be any secrets. When he told Chance that he might want to tell Kelly that he's the raiser of the SWAT cats. Chance was not really much happy about that particular idea, but since he knew that there can't be much secrets in a relationship, and especially in a serious one, but he told Jake to at least wait to maybe that could see if this was going to be last for longer. Despite that, Jake had agreed. But so far, Jake had managed to come up with some good excuses for his disappearance from on Kelly, and it was mostly because of that work, which was actually the truth though, since he had. So Jake agreed to wait to tell Kelly about his secret identity as Racer. Ever since told his excuse to her was actually very true when he told her it was work. And since he was working at the salvage yard, which he explained that was sometimes that he need that Chance needs some extra help on some things, which she agreed accepted. But after they had been dating for about perhaps another 6 months to be a total of a year, Razor thought maybe it was time to telling her the truth about his secret identity. Even though when he wasn't expecting that she was going to believe it. So when they went to a place at the park where they can be in some to be a more secluded area with no other people around, he then told her the secret. But when she said that she didn't even believe. But when he did mention things like that only the Racer would have known, or the time when he said to her after he'd been saving her a couple of times, that actually proved that he was in fact Racer, and that his friend Chance was T-Bone. And even though that she promised him never to tell anyone about this particular secret, and even though when Razor went back to his work the next day, telling Chance that he had told a secret to Kelly, despite that Chance was not at first very happy about this particular idea, but since he knew for sure that they could trust Kelly, Despite that, she's the only one that has direct contact if you're telling them, informing them of some sort of situation or some that disaster approaching. And things between Callie and Jake after that became even better. So because when he said that he had to leave because of work, she had understood either this is that Chance needs some help or that he has been calling out to be as a SWAT cat. But her love for Jake will only remain stronger for even this time. Even though Callie knows that she can't change Jake's passion for fighting against crime, even in her mind she's scared that seeing Jake being hurt against Starcat or any other enemies. Even though she wanted him to leave the SWAT cast to work as more safer work, but she can't change his passion or his destiny to be an hero. And for that, she always support him and his cause to be able to fight. Because sometimes the enforcers can't help and to help at any particular situation, so that she has to call in the SWAT cats. But one day, after having been training for 5 years, Darkcat had decided to do another major attack to the city. But this time he had decided to target the city hall. Unlike though for most time, the mayor was not at the city at the time. He was in fact on the golf course as always, and Callie was alone. Darkcat had managed to get some of his creeplings to sneak in the basement in the city hall and place a powerful bomb. A bomb that was so powerful enough to be able to destroy the entire building with one blast. If it wasn't until for a cop, or at least an enforcement officer, saw these creeplings flying away from the city hall and reported in, and that Callie was in fact had heard about this, and she immediately sent a message to the SWAT cats, who immediately arrived. They managed to land on the roof of the building itself and was meeting up with Kelly, saying there was a bomb in the building, but they had no idea exactly where. But Jake had an idea. If there was going to be a bomb in the city, in this building, and it was supposed to make some major damage, it would have been somewhere in the basement. But since the basement had many rooms, some of us like a boiler room or storage office, storage area, there were a lot of places they had to be searching. And there was even some crawl space even on there. So Jake decided to go there with Chance, and they managed to find the bomb. And as they managed to find it, it was counting down. And they had only about like 20 seconds left until the bomb was about to detonate. Jake, even he had the confidence he would disarm it, and he managed just barely until 10 seconds of time left. When they discovered exactly who had planted the bomb after Kelly was informed was one of the creeplings, and both Jake and Chance knew already, Darkcat. But since Darkcat was long gone, it was unable to find out why he was wanted to target the city hall. But at least, the city hall was safe, and that Kelly was unharmed. And that made Jake at least happy about it. Because something that has planned for in Jake's mind for the past few weeks of this. Because only a couple of weeks after this attempt of blowing up the city hall, Jake took with Kelly to a restaurant where they had their first date and actually proposed to her. She was ecstatic. She started crying and said yes immediately. When Jake told his friend about this, he was really happy to see that he is actually started dating and had taken the next step in his relationship with Kelly. And even though Despite Kelly knew that maybe one day the things between them would have been changing to better, which has happened. And just after they had their wedding, Kelly got the news that the mayor is stepping down and she is going to be the new mayor of the city of Megacat City, which surprised her. After all, despite that the mayor Maines had been running the city for at least a number of years, she was the one that in fact had been running the city behind the scenes. After all, she is the one who makes the speeches and even all the things for her for the mayor, or at least the former mayor. So she made the promises that everyone in town is going to have a safe and protected life against from the enforcers and SWAT cats. She immediately opened it that she has support to the SWAT cats. But what everyone doesn't even know, though, that her husband, Jake, is in fact the SWAT cat member, Razor. But they didn't want to be informing anyone about this, though, because if they knew, and if their enemy knew who Razor were in fact in real life, both him and Kelly would have been in great danger. So she made her term as the next mayor very successfully. But after they had been married for about 4 years, they were expecting their first baby, and they actually had a daughter which they named Anna. And only about when Anna was about 5 years old, they had another baby, a boy, which they named Chance Jr., after his best friend Chance. Despite all the things that happened between Jake and Kelly, they were really happy to have found a true love, but most of all, very, very excited to have found a true love and not only to be that, to be married to one they loved most of all. If Jake hasn't even taken a chance to ask her out those years ago, he may never have found his true love and may have never got the chance to do so. Because who knew who maybe someone else would have asked Callie out and even got married to someone else and that he would have lost his chance to even telling her that. He was happy that he had took the courage to ask her out those years ago. And he did say that to her, and she said that she was really happy that he did it. After all, if he had even asked her out, she may have gone out and dated someone else. And both were still happy that he did ask her out. After all, they would have missed out so much happiness and so much joy together, and especially to have a family together. And this is how Calico brings Jake Clawson for a true love got a big family together. The end.